the manipulation of our group data, having concluded the statistical tools that are used in manipulating our group data, we talked about histogram, we talked about bar chart and pie chart in our previous lecture. In this lecture, we are going to delve on a particular technique that is used in manipulating data. We have told ourselves in the inception of this lecture that when a statistician collects data, he or she, after collection of the data, the statistician is expected to interpret the data so as to give a solution to an impending problem, right? So one of the ways or one of the techniques that a statistician can use in manipulating data is that he or she can calculate the mean of the data, the median of the data, the mode of the data, and so on and so forth. We have dealt with this particular technique on group data, and that was quite easy. But moving on to group data now, it's a little bit involved. It's somewhat technical. So the first technique we are going to be dealing with to manipulate our group data is called mean. But because of the complexity of this type of lecture, we are not going to be using a separate data entirely. We are going to be using the data that we have manipulated before in our earliest lecture. For those of you that have not watched that lecture, you can check up here to see the lecture. The first data, the data we are going to be making use of, we have found the frequency, we have found the class mark, the class boundary, and the rest of it. So we want to calculate the mean of this data. Come along. During our on-group data, we established that if you are looking for mean of on-group data, it is bar S is summation x all over n. But if it is group data, the formula for mean of group data is summation fs all over summation f. The summation f that we have here is 40, which is the addition of the frequency, the number of times each data appears. Then fs is the multiplication of our frequency and each of the data. So we are going to do that now. We're going to do that now. Let's quickly do that. So in continuation with our manipulation, we want to get our fs, which is the multiplication of our class mark and the frequency. Each of the multiplication gave us this answer. You can do this on your own. 32 times 4 is this, 39 times 4 is this, and so on. Then after the multiplication of our class mark and frequency, then we have to find the addition of this fs, which is summation fs. And that gave us 2,523. Then we can now find our mean, the mean of this group data, by saying that summation fs, which is 2,523, divided by summation f, which is 40. Dividing this is going to be this 0, we make this 1 point. Then 4 in 25, 4 in 25, that is 6 times 4 is 24, remainder 1. 4 in 12 is going to be 3. 4 times 3 is 12. 0.4 in 3 is not possible. Then that's 4 in 30 is going to be 7. 7 times 4 is 28. Remainder 2. Then 4 in 2, that's 20 plus 0. Then that's going to be 5. So at the end of the day, our mean is 63.075. So that's the mean of this group data. We will continue our manipulation with some other techniques used in manipulating group data. So you can go through the video, try to check through what we have done. Yeah, we can also be giving an assumed mean, which is an arbitrary number. An assumed mean to calculate the mean of a particular distribution. We normally make use of assumed mean when you are dealing with a very large data. Assumed mean is a shorter and faster way to quickly detect the mean of a distribution. So if they want you to make use of an assumed mean, it is proper for them to give you an assumed mean to be used. So let's deal with this question. Assume that we are told that the table below shows the true size of students in Ojibwa school using the assumed mean of 75 centimeters. Calculate the mean size of the student's shoes. We have to find the mean of this distribution. You can see the shoe size here, 58, 61, 64, 72, 75, 78, 82. The assumed mean that that is given to us is always a number that is always close to the middle number. This 72 is a number when you calculate, when you are looking for the median of this distribution, this 72 will be a number closer to the middle number. So, assuming is not just a number out of the blue, it's a number that is very close to the middle number. That's just for you to know. So we are looking at the frequency of each of the data, their appearance. Actually, if you look at this is not really a group data. It's not a group data. But we want to use this example to explain another dimension that you can find yourself. Of course, you can use this particular technique also on group data. If you have class interval, all you just have to do is to find a class mark, then go through it the same way. So how do we make use of an assumed mean? The formula for an assumed mean, anytime you are looking for mean of the data, when you are giving an assumed mean, it is going to be assumed mean plus mean deviation. Plus mean deviation. Assumed mean is this value that is given to you, which is 72 in this case. Then mean deviation, there is what called mean deviation. You will get mean deviation from deviation of your value. What I mean is that mean deviation is summation FD over summation F. I'm going to break this down. You can see here, you can see your D. Your D is the deviation. When talking of deviation, deviation is the distance of each of the assumed mean from the data. From each of the data. What I mean is that each of the data, you call it S. Then you subtract the assumed mean from each of the data, then that gives you your deviation. How far is the assumed mean from each of the data? That is what we call deviation. So if you are able to get your deviation, then you calculate your summation FD, your frequency and your D, and divide by summation F to get your mean deviation. So moving on, you can get our deviation here, which is S minus assumed mean. Then that means we are going to be subtracting from each of the data, which is 58 in this case. You subtract 72. I'm going to pause this, then I will just conclude it. So we have concluded the subtraction of each of the data from the assumed mean. The assumed mean we are giving an assumed mean of 72. And that's what we use here. We use an assumed mean of 72, then we subtracted it from each of the data, 58 minus 72, 61 minus 72, this minus 26, minus 11, 8, 0, 3. This is going to be minus 8, sorry about that. This is 0, 3, 6, 10. And that's what we have. So the next thing we have to do now is to find FD according to this formula. So we look for FD, that is the product of your frequency and your mean deviation here. That is, you are multiplying 5 times minus 26. So I'm just going to get back to you on this. Let me do this and get back to you. So we continue. What we have done is that we have, the first thing that we did was to find the deviation, which is we subtracted each of the data, which is 58 minus 72. This is minus 14. I made a mistake the other time. It's actually minus 14. 61 minus 72 is minus 11, and that was the procedure we used here. Then to get our FD, which is the product of our frequency and our deviation, we multiply 5 times minus 14 here. This is minus 70. 7 times minus 11, that's minus 77, and that was the procedure, that was what we did here. Then the next thing we have to find is to find our summation FD, which is the addition of everything that we have here. Then we can say that minus 77 minus 70, then you have 58 there. So when you pay your 58 there, you are still owing 121 there. So the answer here is minus 121. Minus 121. That is our solution. But don't forget that we are to find our summation FD, which is minus 121. All of our summation F. My summation F here is the addition of our frequency. So when you check this out now, we have 5 plus 7, that's 12. Summation F is 30. So coming back to our formula, which is my mean deviation is summation FD all over summation F. Summation FD is minus 121. Summation F is 30. So we do that. This is going to be point 3 here 4. Then point 3 in 1 is going to be 0. 3 in 3 times 3 9. 3 times 3 9. So we have what we call minus 4.033 here as my solution FD. So finally we can find our mean. This one is a little bit faster. You can use this on group data also, still the same procedure. So we have assumed mean. The assumed mean is 72. Then plus minus 4.033. Answer is the actual mean. The actual mean, which is bar S, is 67.967. Of course, assumed mean is a little bit faster than the one we dealt with before. It is actually used for enormous data. So the next one we are going to deal with now is using coded factor. Instead of assumed mean, coded factor is a little bit advanced than assumed mean. They are both used for data sets that are very large. So let's dive in. I'm going to find the mean of set of data, especially when the data set is very large, is the usage of coded factor. Coded factor is an advanced way of looking for the mean of set of group data, and is more advanced, more quicker than even the assumed mean that we used in our previous slide. So what is the formula for coded factor? When you're using coded factor to find the mean, the formula of the actual mean, which is by S, is going to be the assumed mean that you are given plus summation FU all over summation F times the class width, where your U is the ratio of your deviation and your class width. It means that your coded factor has linkage with your mean deviation, with your deviation. It means that before you can get the mean of a set of data using coded factor, you must be conversant, you must be comfortable looking for the mean using mean deviation. This D represents deviation, and in our previous slide we said that our deviation is the difference between our data and each of the assumed mean. That is why in this question, we are told that the table below shows the distribution of students' height in algebra form. Then we have the students' height, then we have the number of students, and this number of students represents the frequency. Each of the class intervals has their own frequency. The number of students that are between 40 and 49 and so on. Then we are told that using an assumed mean of 84.5 calculates the mean height of the students. Using an assumed mean of 84.5, calculate the mean height of the student. So in that case, it means that you have to find the mean of a set of data using coded factor formula, which we said is faster. You must know how to deal with it. You must know how to find mean using mean deviation. That was why we dealt with mean deviation in our previous slide. So we have to get our x, the difference between our data and the assumed that we are given, that is given to us. Then the deviation, before we can find that, we have to find our class mark, because in this case, this is a group data. So class mark is your x, and that means in this case it's going to be 40 plus 49 divided by 2. I'm just going to do this one and get back. See here, we have gotten our class mark. I have explained this in the previous lecture that we did. So all you have to do is to find the average of each of the class interval. This is 44.5. Looking for the second one also is 54.5. Then I showed you how to get the next one. For you to get the next one, what is the class width? The class width is 10. I've explained what we call class width to you in our previous lecture. That means 10 is added to each of these class marks to get the successive class mark. So the next thing we have to do is that we have gotten our x now. Then we can get our deviation. Our deviation is x minus assumed mean. So that's our deviation. Then after our deviation, then we can get our u, which is the ratio of your deviation and your class width. Then we are still going to get our FU. I just want to compute, I don't have the table done with. We are still going to get our FU. Then with our FU, we are done. That is summation FU over summation F. And that's what we're going to have here. So what I'm just going to do now is that I'm going to compute this set of data and I'll get back to you. We have computed the needed columns here. We've gotten our deviation, which is the subtraction of each of the class mark from the mean deviation given to us. That is, we are given here 44.5 as the class mark minus 84.5, that gives minus 40. 54.5 minus 84.5, that gives minus 30, and so on and so forth. Then we get our U, which is the ratio of our deviation, this column, divided by our class width. I've explained class width to you in our previous lecture. Class width is the number of members in each interval. Here we have 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49. That means there are 10 members in each interval. That is, we are dividing minus 40 divided by 10, that's minus 4. Minus 30 divided by 10, that's minus 3. This is going to be minus 2, and so on and so forth. That's what we did. Then the FU is the product of our U and the frequency. 7 times minus 4, minus 28. 5 times minus 3, minus 15, and so on and so forth. Then we need our summation of FU, which is when you add this number together, it's going to be minus 49. Also, we need our summation F. When you add it together, it's going to be minus 70. Now, using our formula to get the actual mean of the distribution, it's going to be by S. Assumed mean that we are given is 84 points plus, don't forget that the assumed mean is always very close to the middle data. So, this is summation F, which is, in this case, is minus 49. All over summation F, which is 70. Times the class which is 10 in this case. So if I want to deal with this, I can first deal with the one in the bracket. So let's continue now. We have gotten the division of this number to be minus 0.7. So this 84.5 plus times minus 0, that's minus 0.7 times 10. The rule of odd mass will be here. So we multiply this one times 10, we have 84.5 minus 7. This multiplied 0.7 times 10 is going to be what? 7. So you subtract 7 from here, answer is 77.5. That is the actual mean of this data. So you can see that this one is a little bit faster. Actually, it's faster compared to the other method. We use it for complex data sets. So we move to some other manipulative techniques to deal with group data. Let's move on. Now we would like to continue with our manipulative techniques on group data. In this episode, we are going to find the median of group data. Although we have dealt with this technique, we have utilized this technique on group data, and that was very easy. But when you have data that are grouped together like this, how do we find the median of this set of group data? Don't forget that we are using the same example that we used initially. We have actually talked us through how to get the class boundary, the class value, and the frequency in our previous lecture. You can check up here for that particular lecture. So let's continue now. After design our table like this, we have to know the formula for calculating median of group data. The formula is median is Li plus n over 2 minus cumulative frequency before it divided by the frequency of the model class and C. So I'll just tell us what each of these symbols represents. The Li represents the lower class boundary of the median class. Before you can find the median of group data, that is the data that is at the median. Don't forget that we are dealing with group data. The first thing you have to establish is the median class. That is the class the class where we can find that particular middle data. For us to find the median class, we are going to use n over 2. We use n over 2 to find our median class. Or we can also use n plus 1 over 2 to find the position of the median class, like we told ourselves when we are dealing with our group data. We are going to use n plus 1 over 2 to find the position where the median class lies. Where does it lie? We are going to use that. Don't forget that the n represents the total frequency plus 1 over 2. So if you are able to get the median class, the class that represents the middle number, then the Li represents the lowest class boundary, which is this colon, we deal with that. Then this is n over 2, that's the middle, you know, that's the summation of the frequency divided by 2, minus this f subscript b represents the cumulative frequency before the median class. The median class, this is the cumulative frequency. If you have detected the median class, let's assume that this is the median class, then the cumulative frequency before it, that's the median class. The f represents the frequency of the median class. Then the c is class width. So let's implement what I'm saying here. So the first thing we look for is the position of the median class, and we use n plus 1 over 2 th, which represents the position. The n is the cumulative frequency, the total frequency, which is 40 plus 1 all over 2, and that's 41 over 2. And my answer here is 0.5 th. So that means the data or the class in this position, which is 20.5 position, the position will be gotten from the cumulative frequency. This is 18 position, this is 20.5. So it means that our median class is this class. Our median class is this class, this 20.5. 20.5, you can see it here. So with this median class that we have detected, so the next thing is to find the lower class boundary, which is already here, and that is 63.5 plus the sum of the data, which is in this case 40 divided by 2, that's going to be 20, minus the cumulative frequency before the median class, that is 18. Then the frequency of the median class, and that is 5. Then the class width, when checked, is this 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70. That is 7. So we have 63.5 plus this minus this is going to be 2. It's going to be 2 over 5 times 7. I've done the one in the bracket and I multiplied with this. So this is going to be 63.5 plus that's 14 over 5. 14 over 5, that's 63.5 plus 2.8. And that's going to be what? 13. This is going to be 13 point. This is 5. That's 6 and 6. So that's the median data. The middle data is 66.3. That's the data at the middle in this particular group data. So the next thing we move to is mode of the group data. We are moving to the mode of group data. Let's calculate the mode of this group data using the same example. For us to calculate that, we have to know the formula of mode. Mode is given by Li plus Fx, Fs, S subscript S plus S subscript Y, and then class width. So this Li represents the lower class boundary of the modal class. The first thing is to find the modal class. The modal class is the class with the highest frequency. Checking through my frequency here, the highest frequency is 8. So the class that will have the mode is this guy, just below the median class. So the F subscript S represents the difference between the frequency of the modal class and the one before it. The difference between the frequency of the modal class and the frequency before it. Then F subscript Y represents the difference between the frequency of the modal class and the one immediately after it. And the C represents class width. So let's put that into context here. So we have the modal class we have identified. The lower pattern of the modal class is 70.5 plus the difference between the modal class, the frequency of the modal class, and the one before it. This is 8 minus 5, that's 3. This is also 3 plus because the difference between the frequency of the modal class and the one after it. This is also 5, and that's also 3. Then the class width is 7. So 70.5 plus 3 over this 6 times 7. So we go through it the same way. 70.5 plus this 7 times 3 is 21 over 6 is 4, this 7. So we have 74 as the modal data. The data with the highest frequency is actually 74, but it's found within this class interval. And I think those are the basic computational techniques that we can use to induce some information from our group data. We have dealt with the mean of group data. We actually use different methods to calculate our mean. We dealt with the median of group data, and we concluded it with the mode of group data. We still have some other techniques to deal with.